Every single day, we're all making dozens of transactions, and almost all of them are built on this invisible layer of trust. We just assume the price is right, the product is what it says it is, and most importantly, that the amount we're buying is spot on. But have you ever stopped to ask where that trust actually comes from? Well, the answer is hiding in a place you would never, ever expect. Seriously, think about it for a second. You're at the gas station, watching those numbers fly by, you hear the pump click off, and you just trust that you got exactly what you paid for. You don't get out a measuring cup to check, right? So why are we all so confident? Are we just hoping for the best? Or is there something bigger going on here? Believe it or not, this is the answer. It's this dense, super official looking government document called Handbook 44. It comes from NIST, that's the National Institute of Standards and Technology. And this is the technical rulebook for basically every weighing and measuring device in the entire country. It's the silent guardian making sure every transaction is fair. And the handbook says it best right in its own introduction. Its whole reason for being is to get rid of devices that are just plain wrong, or worse, devices that make it easy for someone to commit fraud. So this book isn't just about being precise. It's literally our first line of defense, protecting all of us, consumers and honest businesses alike. Okay, so to really see how this thing works in the real world, let's just walk through a totally normal day and see where this handbook pops up. And our first stop is, you guessed it, the gas station.
So that trust you feel when you're filling up your tank, that is absolutely not an accident. It's the end result of some incredibly specific rules and regulations. Every single piece of that pump, from the nozzle to the screen to the guts inside, was designed, built, and inspected based on the rules in Handbook 44.
And this right here really puts it in perspective. To you and me, it's just a gas pump, right? But to this handbook, oh no, it's a liquid measuring device, a highly complex piece of equipment where every single function is scrutinized and defined by hundreds of little rules. And here's a perfect example of just how detailed we're talking. You ever prepay at the pump? Maybe you get distracted by a text or something, and then you have to start the whole thing over? That's not a glitch. That's this rule in action. It's a security feature to make sure someone else doesn't come along and pump gas on your dime. It's just one of hundreds of tiny details, all designed to protect you.
All right, let's keep our day going. After gassing up the car, we're heading to the grocery store to grab some produce.
So you grab a bag of apples, you toss them on that scale in the produce aisle, and the screen says something like 1.02 pounds. Okay, but how close does it really have to be to that number? Is there, some wiggle room? Well, that wiggle room actually has a name. The handbook calls it tolerance. It's the maximum amount of error a device is allowed to have. But, and this is so important, the handbook makes it crystal clear that this isn't a target. Owners are supposed to adjust their equipment to be as close to perfect as possible, not to try and game the system by hitting the very edge of that tolerance. And not all scales are created equal. The handbook actually sorts devices into different accuracy classes. So that Class 3 scale for your apples has a different tolerance than, say, a super sensitive Class 2 scale that a jeweler uses for gold. And that's totally different from a massive Class 3L scale that weighs semi-trucks on the highway. The rules are always tailored to the job at hand. And this is where you start to appreciate the absolutely wild scope of this thing. It goes so far beyond just the gas pumps and grocery scales we see every day. I mean, seriously, the list is kind of mind-blowing. It covers the gigantic scales that weigh entire trains, the taxometer in a cab, even the dimensions of the little cardboard baskets you put berries in, machines that measure rope and wire, the colossal hopper scales that weigh tons of grain. It's all in this one book. And the level of detail, it's just incredible. Get this. There's a rule for the teeny tiny little weights that jewelers use. It actually specifies that on carat weights, you have to use the letter C along with the number. It's such a small thing in a huge book, but it just goes to show you the insane amount of effort that goes into creating one clear, universal standard for absolutely everything. Okay, so we've established there's this massive book of rules, but a book is just a book, right? Who are the people actually on the ground making sure a pound is really a pound? Well, it's a whole ecosystem of people. You've got your government inspectors, the weights and measures officials, who are out there testing this equipment. You've got the manufacturers who have to build their devices to these exact specifications. And then you have the service crews that install and fix everything. Handbook 44 is basically the language they all speak. Now, the system is also designed to be really practical. So when a new, stricter rule comes out, it's often labeled as non-retroactive. All that means is it only applies to new equipment made after that date. This way, a small business owner doesn't have to suddenly junk a perfectly good older machine. It lets the technology get better over time without putting people out of business.
And this handbook isn't some ancient text carved in stone. No way. It's a living document. Literally anyone, an inspector, a manufacturer, you name it, can propose a change on a special form. That proposal then gets debated at regional and national meetings. It's a whole democratic process to make sure the standards keep up with the real world. So after all that, what's the big takeaway? What does this all add up to? Let's bring it right back to that word we started with, trust. Every single time you buy something based on a measurement, you are tapping into this incredible system that's governed by this one book. It works so well, it's so baked into our economy that most of us don't even know it's there. It's what turns a potentially sketchy exchange into a simple, trusted, everyday event. And this quote right here from the back of the book, this is the whole ballgame. A device isn't good to go just because it's accurate, meaning it gives the right number. It also has to be correct, meaning it follows every single design rule. It's about ensuring the whole system is reliable and tamper-proof, not just that it gets the answer right once. So, at the end of the day, you realize Handbook 44 isn't really a book about machines at all. It's a book about fairness. It guarantees that when you pay for a gallon, you get a gallon. When you pay for a pound, you get a pound. It's like the quiet operating system for a fair marketplace. This amazingly detailed book is just one of these hidden systems that makes our ridiculously complex world actually work. It kind of makes you wonder, right? What other invisible rulebooks are out there, quietly shaping our lives, making sure everything runs in ways we totally take for granted every single day?